How you doing today, guys? Welcome back to another day of 7th grade math. This is Mr. Gomez, your favorite teacher in the whole world. And today, we're going to learn how to do two-step equations. But before I do that, please go ahead and consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Link down in the description to support the channel. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so two-step equations. Before we start, I want to go over a few rules that we gotta do whenever we're solving two-step equations. And this is something that you have probably already remembered from you're gonna remember from previous years. And this is an acronym that we use. And when I write it, the first letter can change depending on who you learn it with. But this is what it stands for. So I use G, E, M. Anybody else? GEMDAS. Some people, instead of G, use the letter P and call it PEMDAS. Y'all remember that? Rings a bell a little bit? Yes? No? Kinda? Okay. So what this stands for is the method or the way that we're going to be using to solve equations. And those letters represent something different, each one of them. The G stands for groups. Okay? And in those groups, we have parentheses, we have brackets, we have things like that. So that some people call it PEMDAS, but you're limited to only parentheses if you call it like that. So the G stands for groups. So this is parentheses, brackets, or absolute values, anything in that nature. By the way, this is how we're gonna solve equations, okay? This is how we solve equations. And we go in that order from left to right. And then the letter E stands for exponents. Exponents are gonna be the little numbers on top of the variable. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever that number is, it stands for exponents. And then we have multiplication and division. So this is going to be, let me change that because it's going to get confused. So let's just call this A. A the square. This is what I'm talking about for exponents. And then we have multiplication and division. Now, we said left to right, right? However, when we look at a problem, these two are associated. So whatever comes first. If you have a division before a multiplication, you work the division first. If you have a multiplication before the division, you do the multiplication first. That's why I like to circle it. Same thing with the next two. Next two is add and subtract. Again, whatever comes first from left to right. We're going to be using that along the way. Now, the standard form of an equation is going to be AX plus B equals C. Something like that. AX squared plus B equals C. We're not going to deal with exponents at this time. So our equation is just going to be one variable, two steps. That's it. So that means we're going to have one variable. The variable is going to be the letter in the equation. Why is it called a variable? Because that number is going to vary depending on the solution. We don't know what that is, and it can change. And we're going to talk more about that when we go into word problems, writing equations and inequalities. So the variable is going to be the letter. It can be X, A, B, C, Y, whatever. Okay, the variable is going to be the letter, and that's what we're going to try to solve for. So with that being said, we usually see equations kind of like this. 2x plus 3 equals 6, something like that, something in that nature. So our eyes are actually trying to see the equations with the x, with the letter first, then plus or minus a number, equals to something. And if we see something like that on number 2, we have something a little bit different. So we're gonna start with the simple one. I'm gonna do the highlighted ones, and I'm gonna do something more in that area. So for example, number 9. I wasn't gonna do number 9, but I'm gonna do number 9, because that's probably the easiest one to solve right now. So we have 9x plus 1 equals to negative 80. Let me zoom in. 9x plus 1 equals to negative 80. To solve, we're going to be looking what value 9 multiplies with x and then adds 1 that gives us the answer for negative 80. So negative 9 times something plus 1 is going to give you negative 80. That's what he's saying, right? We don't know what that something is, and we're going to solve for that. And the way we do that, we're going to use GEMDAS in reverse. What? Yes. So this is to solve equations. And this is to, we're going to undo it the other way. So the first thing that we're going to have to get rid of, we call this whatever, let's call this something like that, friends and family. We're going to call friends and family. What's happening? We're going to have friends and family. Friends, who's closer? Your family or your friends?
Family.
Family is always the closest thing that you're going to have, right? So we're going to have family and friends. So family is going to be the number that is with the variable. Number with variable. Or the number with the letter. That's family. And then the friends are going to be the numbers by themselves. Okay? Family and friends. So when we're going through things, who's going to leave us behind first? Family or friends? Friends, right? So we got to get rid of friends. We're going to get rid of friends. In this case, which one is going to be my friend? So by the way, you might remember this. Somebody makes a line over there. So we got to do the left side. So, which one is the friend and which one is the family? Which one is the family? The negative 9 or the 1? The negative 9. So which one is the friend? The 1. Now let's look at the 1. Is the 1 positive or negative? Positive. What's the opposite of positive? Okay, so the opposite of adding is subtracting, right? So in order to get rid of that positive 1 or the plus 1, we have to do the opposite. We're going to subtract 1. And what I do to one side, I better do it to the other side as well. We got to keep it even, right? So what happens on the left happens on the right. Now we're going to make a line. And 1 minus 1 just cancels out. Is 0, right? So now let's look at the other side. I have 80 and 1. Both of them are negatives, right? And remember, we're adding and subtracting. And these are the rules that we learned on a previous video, right? So 80 and 1. Both of them are negatives. Do we add them or subtract them? We add them, right? And are we going to keep the sign or change the sign? Keep the sign, right? So the answer is going to be 81 negative. Right? 80 plus 1 is 81. Both of them are negative. It stays negative. Right?
So negative 81?
Negative 81. I'm not done yet though. I am not done. So I'm not done. What I have left on this side is a negative 9. I gotta leave myself by itself, right? So I gotta get rid of the family next. So I'm gonna bring this down the way it is. This is negative 9x equals to negative 81. Now my next step is, what is the 9 doing with the x? A number and a letter together, what operation is that? Multiply or divide? Multiply. So what's the opposite of a multiplication? Divide. So we're gonna divide this by what? No, what is the family? What number is the family? 9. So we gotta divide by that number, because that's the number that we're gonna get rid of, right? So we're gonna divide by 9. But is 9 positive or negative?
Positive. I mean
It's
negative.
negative.
So you gotta divide by the negative 9. The variable has to be left by itself as a positive. We're gonna cover that later. Now, what I do to one side, so if I divide it by negative 9, I gotta divide by negative 9 as well, right? Now, this you can use cross out. And what I have left over here, what is 9 divided by 9?
9 divided by 9.
1. So I have 1x. But I don't write the 1. But I want you to know that there's a 1. How many x's are there? 1x. How many x's are there? 1x is the same thing, right? Whenever you see a letter by itself, understand, know, memorize that there's a 1 in front of it. Okay? Now let's look at this one. I have a negative and a negative. Is that happy or sad?
Happy because they're both negative.
Happy. So the answer is positive, right? So my x turned positive equal, what's 89 divided by 9? I mean 81 divided by 9. It's an even, yes.
9.
9. Again, negative and negative. Happy or sad?
Happy.
Happy. So my answer is positive 9. And I'm done. That's my answer. Now, can I check this back into the equation to make sure it's true? Yes. So basically, you're going to have negative 9 times, we're going to plug this value in here, plus 1 equals to negative 80. And let's see. What's 9 times 9?
9 times 9 1.
81, right? Positive and negative?
Negative?
Negative, right? So this is negative 81 plus 1. How much is that?
81. I mean
80. Negative. So my answer checks? Yes, my answer is correct. Again, you gotta start getting rid of the friends and then family by doing the opposite. That's the main key right here. Always pay attention to the sign rules. All right, let's look at a different one, a little more complicated one. And then after this one, we might move on a little bit faster. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 says negative 6 plus x over 4 equals to negative 5. Now my x is not at the beginning, right? But it doesn't matter. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make my line right here. And which one is gonna be my friend in this case?
family.
Which one is my friend? I gotta get rid of the friend first. What number is the friend? What is it?
6.
The 6. What is the 6 doing?
Being negative.
It's subtracting, right? So basically this is the same thing. They're the same thing. Just FYI. Right? Because this is still positive. This is positive. I didn't change that. Right? So they're the same thing. So my 6 is being subtracted. In order to get rid of that one, what do I have to do? What's the opposite of subtract?
Add.
So we're going to add 6. And what I do to one side,
You do the other.
I have to do to the other. Okay? So this is just 0. What is 6 minus 5?
1.
1. My answer is going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Which one's bigger, the 6 or the 5?
It's gonna be positive.
It's going to be positive, right? Because this is more than 5, right? So my answer is going to be positive. And I have left on the other side, I have x plus 4. I mean, x divided by 4. Keyword, divided, right? A fraction is a division. A fraction is a division. Equal sign. So when I said that, what is the 4 doing with, 4 is the family now. What is the 4 doing with the x? You said it. What is it? It's being what? It's being what?
Multiply.
Currently. What is it doing right now? Division, right? The opposite, can speak right now. The opposite of division is, so we're going to multiply this whole thing by 4. Guess what I have to do to the other side?
You have to do the same thing.
You have to do the same thing. A parenthesis next to a number means to multiply. Parenthesis next to a parenthesis means to multiply as well. Just FYI. Okay, 4 divided by 4 is just 1.
Yeah.
That cancels out. So you're left with x. 1x, right? You don't need to write the 1. And on this side, what is that? 4 times 1 is 4. Positive or negative?
Positive. Negative. Positive. Negative.
That's my answer right there. Very simple, right? It looked complicated at the beginning, but it was easier than the first one that we did, right? All right, let's look at another one. Number 3. Let's get rid of the family. I'm going to move a little bit faster now because otherwise we're not going to finish. Which one is the family? 9 or the negative 7?
9.
And the friend?
7.
So which one get rid of first? The friend. So what is the opposite of minus 7?
Add.
Plus 7. What I do to one side must do to the other side. Cancels out. Right here. Oh, wait. What do we have? 7 minus 7 is? 0. What do we have over here left? 9x. Right? That's a 9. Now, what is the 9 doing with the x again? Number and a letter together is multiply, right? The opposite is? Divide. So we're going to divide by 9. Divide by 9. That's kind of weird now, huh? 0 divided by 9, right? So the answer for this one is just going to be 0. 0 divided by 9 is 0. Now don't get it confused because sometimes you're going to have 9 divided by 0 and that will be no solution. They're different ones. When the 0 is on top is 0. When the 0 is on the bottom is no solution. And we're going to see a problem like that maybe in a little bit. Let's look at another one like number 2. This is number 5. This is going to be very similar to number 6. Now look at this. Now the r, the variable, is on the right side. It doesn't matter. Let's make a line right here and we're going to solve it the same way. Or, I don't like to see it like that. You can rewrite this like this. This is r over 20 minus 5 equals to negative 4. Those two things are exactly the same thing. If you want to rewrite them, make sure you keep the signs where they are. But I'm going to work it the same way. I mean, over here. So again, the first thing I got to do, get rid of the 5. I'm going to add 5 on both sides. Right? That's the first step. Easy. That goes away. And over here I have positive 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. Over here I have r over 20. R over 20, what are they doing? It's a division, right? So the opposite is just like the other one, right? This cancels out, so I'm left with r equals to 20. And that's my answer. Very simple. Very easy, right? All right, let's look at another one. Number 2. You might not see a lot of these ones in 7th grade, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. For this one, we have 2 parentheses n plus 5 parentheses equals negative 2. That means, remember when I told you, whenever you have a number and a parenthesis together, it's a multiplication. But in this case, a parenthesis is a group. We have something going on inside the group. So basically, 2 is multiplying by everything inside the group. So before I can do this, I have to do something that I call FOIL. So we're going to distribute. This is distributing property. First outside, first inside, and last. So we're going to multiply 2 times n. That's just going to be 2n. And then look at the signs. 2 is positive. And this is positive, so it's plus. 2 times 5 is 10. Equals to negative 2. Now I can solve this. Okay, again, let's do this again. I'm just going to multiply 2 by everything inside the parentheses. 2 times n, that's 2n. Both of them are positive, it stays positive. 2 times 5 is 10. Both of them are positive, it stays positive. On the other side, I don't have to do anything. Now it's a simple equation. First step, subtract 10, subtract 10. That goes away. I'm left with 2n on the left equals to, we have same sign, so we're going to add them and keep the sign. Don't forget that, okay? So this is going to be 12, positive or negative?
Positive.
Negative. Very good. One last step. What is the 2 and the n doing? Multiply or divide? So the opposite is? So we're going to divide by 2. We're going to divide by 2. This cancels out because you only have one n left available. And on the other side, I have 6. Negative and positive is going to be happy or sad?
Happy.
Sad. Okay, so pattern. Have you noticed a pattern? The first step is going to be either add or subtract, depending on the question. That's the first step. We're seeing a pattern. One variable, two-step equation. There's 2 steps and 1 variable. The first step that you're going to have to do, you're either going to add or subtract at the beginning, and the second step will be to multiply or divide, and then you'll be done. Unless you have to simplify the equation first. But the first step, once you have it on standard format, the first step, you're either going to add or subtract at the beginning, depending on what this sign is. On what this sign is. And then you're going to multiply or divide, depending on what the operation is. There's 2 steps only. So far, so good? Let's do a few more. Number 12. Very similar to the other one, but now the variable is on the other side. You're going to have a few problems like this on the next page. So first step, this times this, and then this times that. What's 12 times x? It's just 12x, right? But now look, negative and positive, happy or sad? Sad, negative 12x. Now you have a negative and a positive over here. Negative, positive is also sad. Minus 12 times 5 is 60. And on the other side, you have 144. And then we can go ahead and do the 2 steps. What's my first step? Add or subtract, and then multiply or divide, correct? So in this case, my first step is going to be what? Are we adding or subtracting first? So what's my first step? Add. We're going to add what? 60 on both sides, right? Notice I'm not adding anything to the one with the variable because they're different. They're different breeds, okay? That cancels out. So over here, how much do I have? 144 minus 60 is how much? This is 4, and this is what? 84 equals to negative 12x. Second step. I said the second step is either going to be multiply or divide. What are we going to do in this case? Divide, because it's multiplying, right? We're going to divide by negative 12. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. At this time, is the answer going to be positive or negative? Negative, right? So look at the answer choices if you have them and delete the positive ones, right? How many times does 12 go into 84? 12, 24, 48, 60, right? 72, 84. How many times is that? 7. So x equals to 7. Check my math. Right there. The answer is 7. Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Any questions so far? I guess the complicated ones are coming. All right, number 17, two more. We have n plus 5 divided by negative 16 equals to negative 1. This is one that we haven't seen before, but we're going to do the same thing. So, first, write your line. Okay, so first, write your line. And then, now this one is a little bit trickier. Which one is the family and which one is the friend? Which one's the friend? Who says negative 16? Who says 5? Okay, whenever you have a situation like this, basically, on top, it's kind of like if you had a group. So you can do anything to that yet, because that will be the last step, according to GEMDAS, right? So, we gotta get rid of the bottom one first. My friend, in this case, is gonna be this negative 16. So, what is the negative 16 doing? Multiplying or dividing? Dividing, right? So the opposite of divide is, so we're going to multiply this whole thing by negative 16. What I do to one side, you better do it to the other side, right? So this will cancel this out. You're left with n plus 5 equals to 16. Positive or negative? Happy or sad? Happy. So it's positive, right? Now we have a very simple equation. One last thing to get rid of in there. The 5. What is the 5 doing? Look at this sign right here. So the opposite is, so we're going to subtract 5 on both sides. That cancels out, and I'm left with n equals to 11. That's it. That's it. Positive, because we're subtracting, right? 16 minus 5. Now, if you would have, for example, a very constant right here, then you will have another step, and that will be to divide by 2. We do not have that in this case, so we don't need to worry about that. The last one. We kind of did another one like this one a little bit ago. So number 19. Again, first step, write your line. We're going to distribute this. 10 times k is just 10k. Then positive and negative makes a negative. 10 times 9 is 90. And then on the other side, you just have negative 10. So I got to get rid of my friend, which in this case is how much? Negative 90 minus 90. So the opposite is to add 90, right? We do that to both sides. That cancels out. I'm left with 10k. Opposite signs, I'm just going to subtract 90 minus 10, which is 80. Which one's bigger? So it's positive, right? One more step. Got to divide by 10, right? Divide by 10. Cancels out. So k equals to 8. And that's my answer. Any questions? Just to recap, from GEMDAS, you gotta work in backwards, right? So first step, you're either gonna add or subtract, and the second step, you're gonna multiply or divide. And then that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If you like to support the channel, link down in the description. Don't forget to check out my other channel. Other than that, that is gonna be it for this one, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.